Welcome to my YouTube channel again. Thank you so much to everyone, and I hope that it's been informative for you. Today, I am talking about something that has been requested a lot by potential international students looking to come to Canada who are trying to determine what their options will look like, of course, when they come here. I'll be talking about everything you need to know about working and studying in Canada as an international student. So if you're thinking of coming, you're just arriving, you want to know what your options look like, keep watching. Working as an international student in Canada. As you all know, the cost of studying here is not very cheap. Average tuition fee for undergraduates is sitting at about $27,000 in Canada. That's the average cost. Average for postgraduate programs is sitting at about 17,000 Canadian dollars, and that's average across the board. You can get it lower or higher, but that's the average. So because of that, when you apply for your study permit, you're required to show the total funds plus living expense and all of that. However, most times, because those are average costs in terms of your tuition fee, living expense is averaged out at $10,000, you might come and find out that, it's even more than that. Most times, international students, when they arrive, are always looking for ways to work, to generate some income, to support themselves and help them through their study in Canada. So this video is really just to help bring a more realistic picture to you so that you understand and know what is attainable when you're coming to Canada in terms of jobs that you can get, in terms of things that you can do to actually get some money working in Canada. All right? So I'm going to get right into it. The first thing to know is that yes, you can study in Canada as an international student. You can. However, you can work in Canada as an international student. However, you can only work 20 hours per week during scheduled school sessions. So when it's your normal semesters, you can only work 20 hours per week. During the holidays, you can work a little bit more, which is the maximum 40 hours per week that is typically allowed. So you could do that. Now, people are like, oh yeah, I can work 20 hours per week. Definitely. That's good enough for me, and that's good for students because you're going to be busy anyway with school, and it's important to ensure that you're balancing that as well. So while you can do that, one other thing you should know is that because of the type of schedule that your work would be, it also makes it difficult for you to get good jobs or really high paying jobs. Let me not say good jobs. Most of the jobs are good, but high paying jobs, it will be difficult for you to get that. Also, international students who are looking to study in Canada would find themselves doing a lot more shift work. So probably working in a care home, working in a call center, in restaurants where you're a bartender, you're a server, working in like the stores, the supermarkets, the malls. Those are the places that you would find yourself being able to find a job because they work more on shift basis. Then that way you can see what works with your school schedule and what works for you to be able to secure the job. Now, most people always want to know, how much am I going to be able to make if I'm working in Canada, to determine if I can substitute my costs and things like that. My yardstick when I'm advising my clients is usually just know that one, you can work only 20 hours per week. Find out what the minimum wage is in your province and calculate what your potential income would be based on that. So for this video, what I did was I really calculated the highest and the lowest minimum wage in Canada. Ding, ding, ding. Who can guess what the province is? So which province has the highest minimum wage? It's Alberta. Alberta's minimum wage is $15, which means that any employer hiring you in Alberta should not pay you less than $15 per hour. What province has the lowest one? Do you know? Have you heard? Can you take a guess? I'm even embarrassed to think about it. Saskatchewan. Anyways, I'm not embarrassed. Saskatchewan actually has the lowest minimum wage. I'm hoping that goes up at some point, but Saskatchewan's minimum wage is $11.32. So it's low. When I was actually doing this research and I found out that Saskatchewan is actually the lowest, I'm like, Saskatchewan, you guys should do better. What's going on here? I'm here. Let's make this minimum wage higher. Anyways, it's good for the employers, but not so good for the people who are trying to work, because the employers want it low so they can afford labor. Of course, the people working want it higher so that they can make more money. So with this minimum wage that I just told you about, I calculated an international student who is working 20 hours. Like if you're able to get a job that gets you your full 20 hours per week, how much would you be able to make? So I picked the highest and the lowest, so that you can be in between and just know that this is what the range would be. So for a student who is in Alberta, who is working full 20 hours per week, you'll be able to take home $905, because there's some mandatory deductions. Because if you calculate $15 at 20 hours per week, it sits at $1,200. But through deductions, EI, taxes, Canada pension plan, those are mandatory deductions from employee paychecks in Canada. Once those all come out, you're only going home with $905.60. Now, if you're in Saskatchewan, there are also deductions, all of those things apply, and you're going home with $768. And this is if you actually get your full 20 hours. If you don't get that full 20 hours, you know that will be less. So it's very, very important to have that in mind, to understand that when you're making your assessment, when you're calculating and thinking that you're going to be able to come here and cover your tuition fees. And I really thought to talk about this because a lot of people have that misconception that just because I'm allowed to work, I'm going to be able to cover some costs. The real truth in all of this is that school in Canada can be very, very busy and very hectic as well, that taking on a part-time job or even doing that 20 hours could be so much for you to manage with your schoolwork. I always advise international students, as much as you can, ensure that you're able to come with as much funds as possible so that you could actually continue going to school, taking care of yourself. The little money you make on the side can help with your upkeep, feeding and things like that. But when it comes to your tuition fee, paying your school fees, is so important to do what you can to ensure that you have that fee so that you can continue going to school. Because what happens if you don't continue paying your school fees is that you will not be able to register for the next semester. And if you cannot register for the next semester and then you're out of school for a period of time, then it would affect your eligibility eventually when you graduate for postgraduate work permits. It's really not worth it if you think about the end and think about what you're trying to accomplish in Canada. If you don't continue being in school because you're like, oh, I was trying to work, or I was working, I couldn't pay my school fees, or I didn't have enough money, then you run into that situation where when you apply for your postgraduate work permit, the officer looks at your transcripts. The schools already report to immigration, international students on campus going to school. So by the time they report to them, they look at your transcript and they see that you skipped a semester or you skipped the whole year. Then you run into that issue where you cannot actually get your postgraduate work permits after graduation. So it's so important to ensure that yes, you can work, yes, you'll be able to make some money, but it might not be enough to support you to even pay your school fees. As I started this video, I talked about the cost, the average cost of schooling in Canada. So it's important that you prepare for that. You prepare for that, you ensure that your sponsors and people supporting you are aware of the real cost and how much it is for you to get the job. And also, getting the jobs are not easy. And this video is just to stress, yes, you can work, yes, you can make some money on the side, but it might not be enough to cover all of the cost of your studying in Canada, and you don't want to be in a situation that you miss any semester. So I hope this answers your question. I hope this gives you some picture, something to look forward to, have a better idea of what, of course, you can expect when you eventually come to Canada. And I hope that you're able to come prepared to go to school from beginning to the end. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was good. I hope this was helpful. Share it and send us a question. Leave a comment. Subscribe as well if you have not subscribed to this channel. Thank you very much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.